The union budget has drawn fire from the armed forces fraternity after it ended income tax exemption on disability pension for soldiers who retire after completing their full tenure. Under the new rule, only personnel relieved from service due to injury or illness will get tax relief. Those who superannuate despite carrying service-related disabilities will now be taxed. That means soldiers who served till retirement, even after being injured in uniform, are now in the tax net. Veterans say the impact is massive. Among retiring officers, nearly 38% draw disability pension. Of them, over 97% superannuated and will now lose the exemption. The numbers are starker among Jawans, of nearly 48,000 disability pensioners. Over 29,000 superannuated soldiers will now be taxed, nearly 60% affected. Veterans have slammed the move, calling it unfair, discriminatory and damaging to morale.
ये जो इंजरी हमारी हुई है, ये तो जिंदगी भर चलेगी, जिंदगी भर चलती है. ये जो इन्होंने बोला कि जो सर्विस में रिटेन किए गए, उनको नहीं देना चाहिए, ये गलत है.
I have failed to understand why the government has woken up after 60 years. Once a concession or whatever is given cannot and should not be withdrawn.
From the battlefield to the balance sheet, veterans ask a pointed question. Is this fiscal reform or a tax on valour?
350 reforms have been.
Bureau Report, India Today.
India's disease burden is observed to be shifting towards non-communicable disease.
Before we cut across to our guest this evening, I want to bring in senior journalist, someone who's covered the armed forces for a very long time, my colleague Sandeep Unithan. Sandeep, for the larger understanding of our audience, what does this really mean and why has the financial bill this time come out, which, by cutting disability pension on one class of soldiers, you've created two classes of wounded soldiers?
Well, absolutely, Preeti. Just to clarify, there have been two classes of disabled soldiers always. There is the one category is the war-wounded soldiers, who there is no change in their status. They will continue to draw pension and disability pension. They don't pay income tax on that. The other category is the soldiers who continue in service. They complete their service and then they get a disability pension. The tax is the exemption that was given to them until now. That has been removed, and that is what is creating this controversy, and it has inflamed a lot of sentiments across the country, the 3 million veteran community across the country, because what you've done is you've actually aggravated this division that exists. These two categories of soldiers, the second category who had no option but to continue in service, that category is being seen as unfairly targeted, for the misuse of this by a few people. And there have been cases in the past of a few people, veterans who have misused that. But, for those exemptions, for those, shall we say, black sheep, the rest of the community is being targeted. That's what the feeling is, Preeti.
All right, Sandeep, thank you, for joining us and explaining it for the benefit of our viewers. I'm joined right now by General VP Malik, former Army Chief. Thank you, sir, for taking the time out and joining us this evening. It's very important, sir, for someone like you to make our citizens understand on what it really does, or a move like this does to the morale of our men in uniform.
Good evening, Preeti, and thank you for getting me on the panel. We are talking of withdrawal of income tax concession on disability pension of soldiers who either during peace or war get wounded. And that is being withdrawn if they continue to serve till the end of their service. Now, firstly, when a soldier is permitted to continue in service, he has to go through a medical examination. And it is the medical board which decides whether he should continue or he should not continue. If he is to continue, they bring down his category, medical category, and they put down some restriction that, look, you may not serve in high altitude, things of that nature, but he is permitted to carry on with service. Now, I can also tell you that we have a large number of officers who have risen to the highest ranks after they have been wounded and they were permitted to carry on with the service. Like we had Sam Manekshaw, he got seriously wounded, but he retired as a field marshal. Then you had General Tapi Raina, who got wounded, he lost his eye, but he became an army chief. And even recently, you had General Pankaj Joshi, General Ian Cardozo, who was a Bravery Award winner. You had Vijay Oberoi, who became Vice Chief of the Army Staff. So, you know, if they continue in service, we can make use of their talent, and the service also benefits. Now, why they have suddenly reduced this, brought this new rule, I cannot understand, because there is no justification given for that, you know. And I personally feel that it is totally unjustified, totally
General Malik,
unwarranted.
you know, the argument is, sir, the argument is by the government that it has been misused by certain army personnel. That seems to be the premise of discontinuing it.
Is there any example given to us that some people have misused it? That is one. No example is given there yet. Second thing is that if it has been misused, it is the task of the army headquarters, service headquarters, and the medical directorate to correct this whole thing. How should a bureaucrat come into that? You see, person who is permitted to, allowed to come down in the category and asked to be boarded out or to continue, it is the job of the medical board and the service headquarters. They are the one to decide it. I can't understand why Ministry of Defense or Ministry of Finance, for all the people, they should take a decision. Today we are spending 1.71 lakh crores on our pension. You tell me how much benefit will they get by how much saving of this money will be there. On the other hand, you have hit their dignity. You have created this morale problem all over the place. And there is absolutely just no example given of people who have been misusing that. And as I said, misuse is a matter of discipline, which has to be sorted out by the service headquarters and the medical board if they are involved in that.
General Malik, I just want to ask you one question, sir. You know, because the ethos of the armed forces has always rested on the principle that you will put your life on the line no matter what, and you'll be taken care of. And that's, you know, belief has been shaken.
Yeah, that's right. You know, as long as a person is serving in the armed forces, he will continue to risk his life because he will continue to do his duty to the best of his ability. And why should he be punished after he retires? You see, some people who have been, who are boarded out, they will continue to have this concession. But this clause is now applicable to those who continue to finish their service, and then they will have to pay income tax on the disability pension that they get. So I cannot understand the rationale behind it. And as far as the service part is concerned, I mean, as I said, you have hit the dignity of an officer or a Jawan who continues to serve in service till the end of his tenure. And that, I think, is totally unjustified.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking the time out and joining us and raising your voice, because it's so very important for the likes of you to step up and do this. Thank you. I'm joined right now as well by Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, known very fondly as Tiny Dhillon. General Dhillon, thank you for joining us, taking the time out, sir. Do you see any rationale on what we are witnessing today? Because, you know, with what, General Malik also said, all it does is takes away from the morale of the Indian Armed Forces. After 60 years to come up with something like this, there can't seem to be any reasoning or concrete reason behind it.
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening to all our viewers. Yes, absolutely agree with what General Malik has said. And I would like to answer your question in two parts. One is, for the better understanding of the viewers, what exactly is disability pension and why it was there or why it should be there. And second is this withdrawal. How will it impact the functioning of the military? Now, firstly, just adding to what General Malik has already said, disability pension is crucial for supporting a disabled soldier to live his life with dignity and independence. It's a compensation, it's not an income. It has to be understood, it's compensation for the injury which he has got while in service, while protecting the motherland, while serving for the nation, which a normal person or a normal citizen is not exposed to the dangers and the hazards. So that injury which he has received, it is a compensation for that, and it's not an income that you tax it. And secondly, its compensation is for lifelong impact, which he is going to have physically, mentally, socially, and his inability to earn as a 100% fit person after his retirement to feed his family, to look after his own personal interests. So we have to recognize that it is a recognition of his sacrifice for the nation. I'm not using the heavy terms. I am making a very impactful statement that this is what this soldier has. As an officer, when I order a soldier to walk into a minefield and go and check if there are mines there or not, do you think if I tell anyone else working in a civil or a government organization to walk into a minefield, he will go? No. This soldier goes without questioning my orders or my wisdom. And when he steps on a mine, he blows off his right or left leg. And then he continues to serve because he's a Josh box. He's full of life. He wants to serve the nation. And he can contribute positively. General Malik gave examples of people rising to become chiefs, vice chiefs, army commanders. And then you tax him for that stupidity which he did of walking into a minefield. I'm calling it stupidity because that is what it is being made out to be. And another thing, ma'am, the point which you also refer to as misuse. If a bureaucrat is misusing a vehicle, does it mean we withdraw the vehicles of all the bureaucrats? If a politician is misusing his position, does it mean we punish all the politicians? If a person is misusing and you know he's misusing, please go ahead and take a disciplinary action, hang him. But do not punish the legitimate soldiers who have given their limbs and life for the nation. And now I'll tell you how it will impact the military if this is withdrawn. General Malik talked about it. There's a medical board where attributability is established. It is not that anyone who gets injured gets a disability pension. All the documents, the circumstances, the orders, the duty as to legitimate duty against the enemy, against the terrorist or in field area, all those things are checked, the medical documents are checked, and the type of injury is checked. And then this medical board confirms that this injury is attributable to military service.
Right.
Only then he is given this disability pension, which medical board proceedings are also approved by the competent authority. It is not that one doctor or one individual can, fool the system. No, it's a process. It takes months for a person to be declared attributable, the injury to be declared attributable to military service. Now, once a person has been declared with the injury attributable to military service, now case of two individuals, same unit, same service bracket, same operation, same injuries, one goes out, one says, no, I'm a good soldier, I want to serve the army and I want to serve the nation. And his commanding officer and up the chain, everyone says, oh, yes, he's a good soldier, he's a Josh box, he's an asset, he's a trained soldier. Why lose a trained soldier? We can gainfully utilize him in spite of his injury. And he continues to serve his full service. The person who has gone out, he gets the disability pension tax-free. The person who decides and who willingly opts to serve the nation, his pension is taxed. Now, that is not fair. And another point, ma'am, what will happen now? Like I gave example, everyone who gets injured will opt for invalidment. That means he will opt for going out then and there so that he gets the pension which is tax-free. And this will impact the army. We will lose good soldiers, we'll lose willing soldiers, we'll lose soldiers who still has a lot of soldiering in him, and we will lose a trained soldier. And this is, if a person has got injured in operations and is trained and is willing and is full of josh, why should we lose him because we are going to tax his pension after he retires? after having completed his service, it's going to impact the morale, the composition of the army, and the willingness of the soldiers to serve the nation, even after getting injured in a big way. I think this needs to be corrected straight away. And I'm very sure the government is going to reverse this decision because it is not in the interest of the nation. It is not in the interest of serving soldiers. It's not in the interest of the military.
Well, you're right, sir, and thank you. I wish we had more time to discuss this at length, but thank you for joining us and making that impassioned pitch that the government takes it back, because it is about morale, but it's also about dignity. Dignity of men who put their life on the line for the country.